Welcome to this week's Swarf and Chip. Strange times at the moment, but we're all adjusting quite well. And I hope your family, your children and your pets aren't driving you too bonkers, because all of ours definitely are. Anyway, this can bring you some light relief. We're going to be finding out about some EDM at KWI Grinding this week. We find out why 2 Y-axes on a Nakamura is advantageous. Joe gets technical with Schunk, and Paul compares 2 Matsuuras, the MAN and the MX range, all happening on this week's Swarf and Chips. So we've decided during our remote links that we notice and people's backgrounds are kind of showing a little bit of their personality. So let's start with Gio. You've got lots going on behind you. From last week or the week before, you've removed some of the Post-it notes. What's on the Post-it notes, Gio?
Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, I have removed some of the Post-it notes. Nothing too important, to be honest. Just reminders. I've not got a great memory. So they just help me with, not forgetting anything, really. That's about it, really, Linz.
And what else is in the background? There's some pictures. Is it family?
Yeah, a bit of family. So the 2 photos of my 2 boys. The one in the middle is very important. That's when Italy won the World Cup in 2006. The one with me was when I'd done my Swarf and Chips at the studio. When I was at First MCA. And then the one on the far right is when I think it was Nico was born. So yeah, just family, just some nice memories, really.
Oh, it's lovely. And Mark, you haven't really got too much going on in the background, but there's something just over, I think it would be your left shoulder. What's that?
You spot it. Well, I'm not in the office today. I've got that's one of my training bikes, indoor one, but I'm not allowed to go out. But to be fair, I'm quite lucky, actually. There's 2 things legally I'm allowed to do: is one, ride my bike, and secondly, walk the dog. So I get the opportunity of actually trying to work all those Easter eggs off, really. But one thing I was going to say to you, Lindsay, I don't think you're taking things very healthily. I can see a pot noodle on the back shelf by the looks of it.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was my lunch, because we've been setting up. I just had a really quick lunch, but no, I have been very good. I did 40 kilometers on my bike yesterday, and I did a 5K run the day before as well. I'm trying.
I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Got to mention that last week's cycle time challenge for the star part that Joe did is 14 minutes and 45 seconds. So congratulations to the winner. Well done to you, and the Swarf and Chips goodie bag will be sent out to you. Right, anyway, let's kickstart the show with a beast of a machine from ETG.
I'm here at the Engineering Technology Group in Wellesbourne in their showroom. Lucky enough, I've just arrived and this machine's just been sighted here. Now they're bringing these machines in for stock. It's obviously in its pre-delivery state. Now this is the WY150. Now the WT150 is their most popular selling machine. That's a twin turret, twin spindle with 1 Y-axis. Now this machine, the WY, has 2 Y-axis. There's one on the top turret and one on the bottom. What I quickly want to show you is where are the advantages to that. Well, firstly, the fact that you can draw a line, let's say down here, means you've got one machine to the right and one machine to the left, which means that you can obviously, you can essentially double up on your production or make your parts far faster. The turrets that you see on here, you've got a Y-axis on the bottom there too, have double point indexing, so you can also get 24 tools per turret. Now there is also over 70 mil bar capacity on the main spindle on this machine, and just over 2 inch on the sub spindle. Now the fact that you've got 2 Y-axis on this machine does make a difference, because it means that that Y-axis does lend itself to be able, well, it makes the machine more versatile, and whereas before on the WT you've only got one of those, if the parts are more complicated and you really want to balance things up, then having a Y-axis on the bottom as well does give you an advantage. Now these machines are here readily available from stock as a result of the demands in the UK market for technology, advanced technologies. ETG ETG satisfy that by bringing machines like this and the WT into stock. So be quick if you want to find out more about this machine. You'll be able to come and see it here at their HQ in Wellesbourne.
Okay, impressive machine. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Well, ETG have a great portfolio of different products. The Nakamura is fantastic. I mean, I remember when Paul went in there a few years ago with Steve on the WT 150, which is the most popular machine. You know, it's really going from, rather than just batch work, you're getting into more prismatic parts, and obviously, you know, the WY with the y-axis is, you know, it gives you your opportunity really to have you know, one machine in two, really, I think.
Yeah, and Gio, what are your thoughts? The advantages?
I think with that kind of machine, the Nakamura, it's all about the longevity, rigidity, machining capability, especially with having two y-axis, two spindles. I mean, I can remember back last year, sometime we went to Kale & Co up north, and they're using a lot of the Nakamuras. And they just couldn't praise the machines enough in regards to also the driven tooling that's on their machines, to do even more, which gives the machines even more milling capability. I believe on that particular model, 7.5 horsepower on the driven tooling, so you've got a lot of grunt on that. Fantastic product from ETG, and one of their best sellers for sure.
Right, okay, well, all available from ETG. Next up, Joe gets technical with Schunk.
In today's Swarf and Chips, we're going to talk about the Tendo E. It's a product from Schunk, and I'm joined by Jerry, and you're going to tell us about it and give us a brief introduction and demonstration.
Okay, so this is our Tendo E compact tool holder, hydraulic tool holder. Very simple operation to use. We can insert the tool into the intermediate bush here, and to actually clamp the tool holder, simply turn the Allen key until we hit a dead stop, and then the tool is then clamped on a preset tool length.
And that's the hydraulics, that's the oil stopping basically.
Yes.
Creating it. So that's remarkably straightforward, and it's a milling functionality process. So there's going to be a lot of forces applied to that tool. Is it likely to come out?
No, not at all. You've got about 2,000 newtons of clamping pressure in there, so no, that tool will not pull out.
Okay, and obviously it's a milling cutter, but what are you going to do with that milling cutter? Can you do heavy aggressive milling, or is it just finishing?
Again, this is for all round, so we can actually use it in heavy roughing, finishing, tapping and drilling and reaming cycles as well.
Okay, we've got a set here, obviously HSK, a 40 taper. How does it look? How does the range look? Are we going down as small as 30 or smaller and larger?
Yep, so we do the whole range of BT, so 30, 40, 50. We also have this in SK, HSK, Capto and Cat.
And the sleeves?
Yeah, so we have a full range of intermediate sleeves from 3mm up to 32mm, and these can be inserted into any of the Tendo E tool holders.
Okay, so you're kind of appealing to the masses here, an SME or even a blue chip OEM.
Yes, exactly right, yeah. So
finally, the price, how can you find out more, and how much are they?
Okay, so visit schunk.com, get us to get in contact with you. We'll come out and give you a demonstration, leave you a kit. Typically for a price set like this, it's about £325.
There we are, sounds good. Thank you very much, and back to the sofa.
Gio, let me ask you a question. That was a good video with Schunk and obviously Swarf Guru. But when you look at tool holders, you know, expensive tool holders, cheaper tool holders, you know, you could say that, you know, buying your best machine tool, if you haven't got, you know, your weakest link, for instance, could be your tooling, your tool holder. But in your experience, when you look at tool holding from Schunk, do you think it actually gives the quality to the machine, to the part you're machining, to the tooling? You know, how good are Schunk tool holders, basically?
I've not had much experience with Schunk tool holders, but I guess I would say they're extremely high quality, like the rest of their product ranges. They're very well renowned for their work holding products, but you know, tool holders are something that's relatively new for me as an offering from Schunk. When looking at that particular tool holder that Joe done the technical corner with, for me, it's all about the simplicity of the design. Obviously, they've got a hydraulic clamping in there, which gives you a lot of clamping force. The tool is definitely not going to come out. But the simplicity of the design, the ease of getting that tool in and tool out saves you time setting that tool. And yes, you're absolutely right, Mark. You know, it's an integral part of the machine tool, because effectively that tool holder is the mating part between the tool and the component, so it eliminates vibration. So that it's absolutely critical, and I'm 100% sure that it's top quality. I've never used them myself, and it looks like that kit is at an affordable price as well.
Right, thanks. So, Mark, of course, it's time for this week's Cycle Time Challenge. We're doing it remotely, and this is your chance, the viewer, to get involved and win yourself a Swarf and Chips goodie bag. So, Mark, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. I've got an interesting part here. We was at Matsuura SGS with CG Tech. They were using the Grob G350 machine that they've got down there. Now, this is a demo part that we was actually filming for a simulation video. So basically the screen was real cutting data time, and effectively the simulations running alongside it. So you can actually see what force actually does from Vericut. Now, this is a titanium part. I'm not sure of the tooling, to be fair, but you know, quite simply, how long do you think this has taken to be produced?
Right then, Gio, your guesses, please. I don't like
Well,
to guess.
the Grob machines are a fantastic machine, aren't they? And I can't, and obviously they're very cut as well. I mean, I don't think that's took long at all. I guessing titanium, a little bit tricky material. 40 minutes maximum. 30 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay, there's Gio's guess, but this is your chance to get involved. Please put your guesses in the comments box below, because every week we're going to give away those goodies. Next up, Paul compares two Matsuura machines at MP Engineering.
I'm at MP Engineering UK Limited in Hinckley, a company that has really embraced automation over recent years, investing over £1 million every year for the last 5 years in new machine tools with automation. And with Ben Hayward, the idea behind this video is to really distinguish the differences between the Matsuura MX330 10PC or PC10 and the MAM machines that they supply. Ben, you've obviously used both of these machines. What is the fundamental difference between a MAM and an MX330?
The MAMs have got, the main thing is they've got 32 pallets and 240 pockets for tooling, which really allows your production jobs to run. You can get a lot more sister tooling in. It just allows for bigger jobs and more volume.
Now, with your MX330s, we've spoken about the fact that you're doing, maybe 2s off, 3s offs, but you're doing, 4 or 5 different jobs on the 10 pallets. Is that different with these machines? Would they be for longer runners? Is that, do you think, where the differentiation becomes?
Yeah, to get your most out of it, you would want to use your longer runners. You can use it like a MX330 if you want, so you've got the choice of both options. But with the 32 pallets, you can really get big volume jobs running on them. And with the 240 pockets, your sister tooling is, you can always run a lot of sister tooling if you've got a problematic tool or a heavy cutting job or anything like that.
Okay, yeah, and then there is a different market then really for both machines, isn't there? Matsuura haven't just introduced that and it's gonna outsell these, and these aren't going to be needed anymore. They do have different purposes.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. The MAM has still got a very good use for it, and so is the MX330. They're both swings and roundabouts. And you are very much a Matsuura user. There you have it. The differences, if you didn't know, because you see a lot of Matsuura videos on Swarf and Chips, what are the differences between their MAM range and their MX330? Well, hopefully that's given you a bit more of an idea.
Wow, two very different machines. So, Gio, what are your thoughts here?
Well, obviously the MAM 7235V is the perfect machine for unmanned running, with spindle utilisation rates of 90% plus. Now, the comparisons, there are certain comparisons where they are similar. So, for example, the max swing diameter on both machines is 350 diameter with a max height of 300 millimeters. So you've got a nice envelope, machining envelope on both models. But the biggest difference between the two for me is obviously 32 pallets against 10 pallets. And then you've obviously got the footprint is slightly different. But for me, obviously, the price is a big difference. So if you've not had a Matsuura before, the MX330 is a perfect machine to start you on that Matsuura journey. And I think that with 90 tools on the MX330 is still a significant amount of tools for 10 pallets, whether you're doing lower volume automated work or higher volume. But great video, great machines, and I've never heard anyone say a bad thing about the Matsuuras.
I agree with you, Gio. And also, I don't think it's so much the comparison of the two machines. It's just really promoting what machine can do what and the way they can benefit one another and what work they can do in the workshop. Right, okay, next up, we're going to be talking electrical discharge machining at KWI Grinding.
So I might be going back to basics a bit here, but one of the things that I find is that we don't do as much on EDM machining as general machining. I'm here at KWI Grinding. I'm with Craig Owen here. Craig, firstly, we're going to go back to basics a bit. Let's have a look at these two parts. Tell us on here what you're doing or what you would make or what you would machine using the EDM machine as opposed to doing it on a general milling machine.
Basically, you use EDM machines obviously to remove hard metal out of things. So anything that's basically been heat treated above, obviously milling cutter toughness, you obviously EDM spark it.
So on this one, what about in here as well? Obviously these square edges are something you couldn't do on a general machining. I mean, you could broach them, but you couldn't do them on a machining centre.
Yeah, definitely. Basically what you do, obviously, you make the hex electrode yourself and it'll spark it down, but then you've always got the option of orbiting that out to remove any debris out the corners, so it gives you a nice sharp form.
And then this as well, the depth of this actual hole, is that something that you would use this machine for too?
Yeah, definitely. We'd put obviously holes through hardened stuff that you can't obviously mill or drill previous to doing it. Exactly the same as the form.
Now what I really want to get to the bottom of here is how easy is it to program and actually get the right parts or be able to machine them at the right feeds and speeds. How does it do it on this Joe Mars machine? Do you put in the material type and it works it for you?
Yeah, there is a setting on it where you can put in obviously different type of materials, your electrode material, and it'll work out your feed rates, flushing distances, spark gaps and stuff like that as you're running the program along.
And what about changing the electrodes? Do you have a different electrode for different materials? Do they wear much? Just give us a little bit of an education on those.
Yeah, definitely. If we're running a lot of tungsten carbide, we'll generally use a lot of copper tungsten because it's got a very low copper content, which means you get a lot less wear than what you do compared to generic copper electrodes, which tend to break down a lot quicker because they build up a lot of carbon a lot quicker.
Okay, good stuff. So there you have it. Back to you guys in the studio. I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are on EDM machining and the types of applications we're seeing these machines used for these days that you just can't do on any other machine. That's it from me here at KWI Grinding.
Now, before all of the social distancing and isolation and everything, Mark, you and I went to NCMT and we saw quite a few EDM machines, didn't we? And it's fascinating the work that they can do.
Yeah, as I say, it's a good education for yourself, Lindsay, not understanding EDM technology, sync versus wire versus drilling. But, coming back to KWI Grinding, is that these guys, I may be wrong, but let's say a nice sized job shop, but there's certain parts that you can't actually machine. You just can't. It could be the thickness of the walls, for instance. It could be other reasons. But over the last 30, 40 years, over the last 30, 40 years, I would say, is the way the EDM market has actually grown because the complex components, the tolerances and these type of things in the medical sector, aerospace, for instance. This is a typical example where, KWI have invested with Eurosparks on the OMR machines that they need that because they wouldn't be able to be cost effective for their customers. And I think that it's a great education that if you are a general job shop, you should have an EDM machine, depending what you're doing, on the shop floor.
Well, it's quite funny that you should say that, Mark, because last week on Swarf and Chips, Joe went to HK Technologies. It was a few weeks ago, of course, and they went to do a talk or a video on 3 or 4 machines, and 3 had already sold. So clearly, people are already hot and onto the EDM machines as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. Yeah, obviously, last week, Schwarf, Joe got to the point where, he loves his time in machine tool shops and speaking to people, but he only had 1 review to do, to be fair, which is a great, a great result for HK, really.
Definitely. Right. Okay. Well, it's the end of this week's Swarf and Chips. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We hope the family, the children and the pets, like I say, aren't going to drive you as bonkers this week. And we hope you're all keeping very safe and well. So thanks to Gio and Mark for joining in. I'll finish off my pot noodles now. And all that's left to say is keep those spindles turning.